Hey, welcome, everybody. This is Justin Letheby, professor, and we have Michael Tritthart, a gentleman I have known. I'm not even going to say how long anymore. It's been a long enough
ages.
ages.
Those
So I've known Michael for a long time. Fellow tech guys, fellow person that loves real estate in the world of tech and helping agents get better, faster, stronger. The $6 million man approach. And I reached out to him, about a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, and said, hey, we haven't talked in a while. Let's talk, let's share, let's do that stuff. And you said, hey, I got this new class I'm going to start teaching called Entrepreneurial Health. And I went, well, shoot, I need that. If I need that, everybody needs it. Now, that's probably not necessarily true, but I feel if many needs this conversation, because as entrepreneurs, we live fast and hard. So thank you for coming, Michael. Anything else you want to start with? Any credentials I forgot to give you?
No, I mean, that's fine. I'll just give you my little spiel that I give everyone when I'm doing a session. I live in McKinney, Texas, but I travel and train all across North America. So international technology instructor. I own a couple different businesses. And so for me to be able to do the travel, to do the training, to be there for my family, because we got a very active family. We were just talking about before the session. I was in Houston for basketball tournaments this past weekend. Seems like we're always on the go. For me to be able to be an entrepreneur who's traveling and running two businesses, my health has to be paramount. And it wasn't always that way. And so there was a couple life-changing milestones for me that I'll share here in just a couple minutes. But hopefully it's going to encourage everyone else to really put a focus on their health. And it's not even just your physical health, it's your mental health. It's everything as an entrepreneur. It can be very difficult to be running your own business. And I always tell everybody, don't get into the trap of solopreneur. Know that there's help and there's other people, facing the same challenges as you. So it's always a good conversation to have. And so that's why I appreciate you having me come in and talk about this topic.
No, I appreciate it. I mean, literally, I've been complaining about it for a while. I do all these events with the association and stuff right now, and every time I come back, I'm sick, and I know it's because I'm not doing the right things at the right time. I'm not taking care of my body the way I'm supposed to. And really, the honest answer is, as soon as I step on the scale, I go, ouch, every time I look at that thing. So I think this is great. And I love the fact that you are taking it one step further and actually building a class for us, because I think that's a huge milestone for us to have, as you said, this is not a solopreneur. I mean, we're entrepreneurs. This isn't solo. We can rely on others. We can have others help us. We can take advantage of others' knowledge and others' practices. So I love that you're doing this. So let's get right to it. Let's first start, because you mentioned offside of video. What made you start focusing on this conversation?
Sure. So it started back, actually, the genesis of it was 2008. And so I tore my meniscus in 3 spots, right? Like 3 gunshots going off. I wish it was doing something cool. It wasn't. 2006, I ran with the Bulls in Pamplona with one of my friends. That was pretty awesome. We come out of that scratch-free. 2008, I step up on a desk to change a light bulb and my knee explodes in 3 spots, right? And I go to this surgeon that I've never seen before in my life. I've never met him before in my life. I've got surgery the next day. He's kind of doing this thing. He's got his chart, right? And he's kind of looking at his chart, looking at me, just doing that whole spiel. And then finally puts the chart down and just stares at me for a solid minute after saying, "Time to lose weight, fat boy." And just stared for like a minute, right? And just like, okay, got it. In fact, I get it. I was like 260 pounds at the time. And that was pretty heavy for me. And so I go home, I got my knee all packed in ice. I'm all pouty because he called me fat boy. I got my knee propped up. I sit down on my comfy chair, turn on my TV, and hand on the Bible. The first thing that comes up is a commercial that says, for every pound that you lose, it's 4 pounds of pressure off your knee. And I was like,
oh, wow.
All right. I'm pretty dense sometimes, but I picked up that signal. Somebody's talking to me. So
that was good math for you.
Yeah. I went cold turkey on fast food. I told my wife right then, I'm not blankety blank eating this blankety blank 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 stuff anymore. If they got a drive through, I'm not going through it. And she's like, okay, whatever, and then and this is the part where all the ladies who are listening to this, they hate this part. My wife's like, don't say this. guys, we can think about losing weight. We lose 5 pounds. Well, that first month I lost 20 pounds, right?
Nice.
Just cutting fast food. But what I realized later is that I was going through withdrawals that are similar, not the same, similar to heroin withdrawals because of all of the preservatives and the salt and the sugar and the oils and everything else that's in that food. My body was, physically sick. My mind was hurting. I was short with people. I mean, I was a jerk for like 30 days until I got through that period of time. And what I had done, and looking back on this, I actually ended up doing a 66-day challenge, which is in the One Thing, before the 66-day challenge even existed.
Right.
When I read the book, I was like, oh, I did that. Right. I was like, okay, that gives me clarification of that I was doing something right. And so ever since then, it's always been a progression of something, right? I cut out fast food. I don't do fast food, but I still was doing soft drinks because I was a tech guy. We're staying up late, we're building websites, we're doing all this other type of stuff. So I was pounding the Coke Zeros like nobody's business. Well, then later, a couple of years later, I cut out the soft drinks altogether. So I don't do soft drinks anymore. I started to exercise. I was always the guy of, I'm going to eat right, but I don't have time to exercise, or I'm going to exercise and eat like crap. I never put the two together. Started putting the two together.
Yeah.
I felt better, right? But it was always like there was something missing. Right? I mean, I was doing everything okay, but I ran into a situation a couple of years after that of skin cancer, not melanoma, thank goodness, but I had basal and I had squamous, and those are well, they're technically cancerous, but they're not melanoma. They have to get removed, so they had to be cut out. And so I had spots on my forehead, on my calf that had to be cut out, about 4 or 5 different spots. And so I really started researching how to avoid that. Right? It's not a fun experience, and I've had to do the burns on your face, the chemical peels. That is horrible. So I did not want to do that again. So I started researching like holistic ways. How do I get rid of these opportunities? I don't want to go down this path anymore. And that took me about 3 years now, to seed oils. And we all know sugar is bad, right? We know that. We all know that there's certain things in our food that's bad for us, like processed food and processed, flour and wheat like that. But a lot of people, when I mention seed oils, they're like, "Seed? What are you talking about?" And I think, Justin, I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, but before we were talking, I mentioned that, and you're like, "What is seed oils? What does that mean?" Is that
Right.
correct statement?
That's exactly right.
Yeah. So I shared this YouTube link with Justin that I think he can show to you guys, so you can get the link. Watch this video. This is from Dr. Chris Nobe, and it's less than an hour, and it's going to change your life, and it's going to change your life for the better. But quite honestly, it's going to piss you off at the same time, because you're going to find out that the vast majority of our food has seed oils in it, and seed oils cause inflammation. They cause gut problems, so not proper gut health, but improper gut health. And the seed oils are actually in the suntan lotion. They're in our shampoos. They're in a lot of things. So we're basically taking this poisonous oil, ingesting it, and then rubbing it all over our body, and bad things are happening from that. And so another way to know what a seed oil is, I'm going to say this name, and you're probably going to go, "Oh yeah, I know that." Vegetable oil, right?
Yeah, okay.
That's seed oil. Okay, one of them is called canola oil.
Oh yeah.
You've heard of canola oil, right?
Oh yeah.
Canola oil is not healthy. It's not good for us. Canola oil actually stands for Canadian oil low acid. I'm a former history teacher. So before we're going to go down a little history path right here. Before canola oil became the canola oil that you buy at the grocery store, canola oil was engine lubricant for World War II machinery.
Remember that.
The Canadians had taken this plant called the rape plant, which, I mean, if a plant's called a rape plant, it's probably not going to be good for anybody, right? But from that plant, they have the rape seed. And so they press the seed to extract the oil. And then they were using that for all of the machinery of World War II. Well, at the end of World War II, after we won, we had a tremendous amount of oil left over. And they're all looking around going, hey, we got this technology, we got this oil. What are we going to do with it? I don't know. This is the part I don't know yet. I don't know who was the evil one that said, hey, let's put it into food. But it was then starting to be put into food magically after the FDA got a big $35, I think $40 million payment from the Canadian government. Soon thereafter, canola oil was approved to be put into food. And you can go back and look at the obesity rates of the United States. Before that, it was animal fat, right? It was tallow, it was lard, it was organic fats that were being used in the food. We then jumped to vegetable oil in the 40s, 50s, and soon thereafter. And now, Justin, when you go to the grocery store, read the ingredients. And this is, I'm not saying just you, but everybody, read the ingredients. You're going to see not just canola oil in there, but you're going to see sunflower oil, safflower oil. You're going to see grapeseed oil. You're going to corn oil. These are all horrible for our bodies. And I've cut all of those out as much as I can. And when we go out to eat, it's in almost every restaurant. There's an app out there called the Seed Oil Scout that will help you to find restaurants. But the problem is where I live, we got thousands of restaurants all within 20 minutes. And it's like a barren wasteland of opportunity to go and eat somewhere. We went to Houston this past weekend. I was excited. There was like 5 restaurants all nearby that were all green stars, which is what you want. I was like, oh, this is cool. This is good. But once you start cutting that stuff out, you see a huge difference. One of those differences, I played football, so my body, would feel it every day. I wake up, like my shoulder was arthritic. I was jacked up. My right hip, like the whole right hand side of my body. I guess I always live with my right because it feels like my knee and my hip and my shoulder were just thrashed. Right. Well, over the last couple of years of cutting out seed oil, I don't have that inflammation issue anymore. Like my hip feels great. My shoulder feels awesome. I can move it, full function. Like I feel good. I feel better now than I did 10 years ago because I'm not ingesting 90% of all of that seed oil. I can't cut it out fully because every once in a while we go out to eat, but we spend a lot more time at the house, prepping and making our own meals. And I've kind of taken ownership of going to the grocery store with my wife, where I was not saying that she can't do it, but you've got to read these. You got to read these ingredients.
Oh yeah.
It takes the two of us an hour and a half to 2 hours to figure out a new grocery store because you got to understand where the stuff that you can eat and not eat and where it's all at. And I'm the crazy guy walking down the aisle going, "This is all poison. I can't believe they're selling this." I'm the one screaming and yelling, going, "Don't get that stuff. It's crazy." But going back to the skin cancer situation, I went from going and getting cut on almost, twice a year, having to do the face burns, having to do the face peels, twice a year, which is horrible. Then I got down to, okay, they're going to freeze some spots, which is okay. Freezing's not that bad, but it's still a nuisance, right? And it still costs money. It's cost insurance. And so this past year, we have a place in Florida that we go to. We have a condo. And one of the benefits, if you cut out seed oil, that again, I'm not a doctor. Don't take this as the gospel. I'm just telling you what I've researched. You do your own research. You trust your own people. But one of the things that I heard is that if you cut out seed oils and you don't use the suntan lotion that has the seed oils in it in putting it on your skin, you don't burn anymore. You don't have like the massive sunburns. And so I'm in Florida at a place kind of working on it. And I told my wife, I said, hey, I'm gonna give it the test. I'm gonna go out in the middle of the day, out into the Gulf, out in the water for 2 hours. I'm gonna walk around with that suntan lotion. I'm gonna see what happens. And she's like, you're insane. Like, do not do that. I'm like, well, I'm gonna practice what I preach. I'm gonna try it. I'm fair complected, right? I'm out there for 2 hours in the heat of the day. I walked back in. I was red. but just like pinkish red, and it went away the next day. I'm like, wow. Normally,
So
I
were
would have
you
been.
red because of the sun or red because you were like exerting energy?
I was red. I was red just from being in the sun because I
The
was walking around
sun.
in the sand and everything else. And I'm sitting there going, normally I would be like a fried red lobster. Like I would be in pain for days. The next day, no pain, just in
Wow.
almost a little bit of a tan for a pretty pale white guy like me, right? I was like, wow, this is crazy. And then about 4 months after that, I go to my dermatologist, and this was the true test because I'm thinking, all right, I'm probably going to get zapped with the freeze machine. They're going to tell me they got to find something. They found something to cut or whatever. And I go in there and she does the full body check. And then at the end, she's like, hey, whatever you're doing, keep it up. It's great. So I'm like, well, I'm not going to tell you what I'm doing because you're not going to like it, but I'm not putting that stuff on my body and I'm not ingesting it. And I have a holistic friend who said it best. She's like, so you stopped deciding to be the basting chicken and sitting in the oven. You stopped basting in the oils and then roasting yourself. I said, yeah, that's right. She's like, good for you. You finally figured it out. And it's made a huge difference in not only my energy, how I feel, everything. I mean, it's something that all of us, no matter what type of health issues that any of us have right now, this is not a controversial thing other than the fact of they've been putting this in our food for years. This is just something that everybody can do and instantly start to feel better, just removing seed oils.
That's amazing to me. I mean, I've done the paleo, I've done the keto, I've done the intermittent fasting, right? All that stuff. And I'm a big fan of the paleo type of strategy for the similar practices, right? Get rid of, do good gut health strategies, right?
Right.
Once your gut is good, a lot of things follow with you. Your liver, your pancreas, your whatever, right? They all work. It's amazing to me to hear about the oils though, because man, that's hard to get past because as you said, I can't think of a restaurant that I don't eat an oil at somehow, some way.
Well, and see, and the crazy thing is you don't even know you're eating it because if you're doing paleo or you're doing the healthy stuff, or if you go and get the healthy bars, like I go down the aisle in our grocery store and then there's the healthy aisle. And I look at some of those protein bars that I had eaten in years past, and I turn them around and I look at the bottom and they got sunflower oil in them, they got safflower oil in them. Like that's not healthy, right? That's not healthy. That's not real food. And I've kind of gone down this journey / rabbit hole of finding these things that anybody and everybody can can employ practically. And it's not taking pills. It's not buying a subscription to something. It's I'm not selling any products. I'm just telling you, we cut this out of our eating habits. You're going to see
Are you
an
trying to
improvement.
get them not to buy stuff?
Yeah, exactly. I don't want you to buy this stuff because most of the healthy stuff that you find, you actually start reading the ingredients. You're like, this is not healthy. What the heck is this? But I have this graph that's in the class, and this one hit home for me because it's love handles, right? So guys, we got our love handles. Well, don't think of them as love handles. Think of them as seed oil storage tanks
Oh, wow.
because that's what the body is doing. The body is taking the seed oil and moving it away from your internal organs because they know that it's poisonous. They know that it's inflammatory, and they're trying to keep it away from the organs. And so what they're doing is they're putting it in the adipose tissue, the fatty tissue of your love handles, and those are being stored there. And that's what causes love handles is seed oils.
Really?
You're just becoming a storage tank for this poisonous item in our body. And when I stop 90% of, and again, you can't cut them all out, but you can control what's in your house, right? And when I cut out the seed oils inside of my house, I started to see a massive reduction in love handles. Things that you work out forever, you do paleo, you do all this stuff, but the love handles never go away.
Right. 100%.
Yeah, because we're eating too much seed oils. And so that has been a huge difference for me.
That's crazy.
It is.
That's-
It is. And it all started with that YouTube video that I shared, because he walks you through it, and he basically says we have been conditioned to believe that lard and animal fat is bad for us, but yet chemical petroleum oil, like, and he shows a vegetable oil refinery plant, and it looks like a refinery plant that I saw in Houston, like producing, the oil for your car and everything. There's no difference. He's like, but we've been conditioned to believe that that's good for us and not animal fat. I'm like, he makes a point.
No, that's huge. I mean, that's a large point. Okay. So no seed oils.
No seed oil. Now everybody goes, okay, so what does that mean? Like, what are the good oils, right?
Right.
Well,
That was gonna be
olive oil is good, right? And I got my list right here. Let me pull it up so I got it reduced, split screen. But right here, butter is good because it's natural, right? Tallow, which is basically grass-fed animal fat, is good. Coconut oil is good.
I was wondering about coconut because
Yeah.
I didn't know if that'd be considered.
But palm oil is okay. Palm oil is hard to avoid. It's in almost everything. A lot of people, and I've found this just through the research, a lot of people don't like the palm oil just from the effect that it has on forestry and reductions of forest. But lard is okay. It's not, you don't eat it every day, but it's okay. Avocado oil is okay. But then you get into the red, and this is like green, yellow, red, and here comes the reds. These are the ones you want to avoid: canola, peanut, rice bran, soybean, cottonseed, corn oil, sunflower, grapeseed, and safflower. Those are no-goes. And we just made it, we made it a life choice, and as a family. And I think it's now in the beginning, I'm gonna be honest, my wife was giving me the eye roll, like, are you serious? What is this? I got to spend like first day she went to the grocery store. She's like, it's 2 hours later. I'm still in this grocery store. I'm trying to find stuff that doesn't have this. She's like, this is crazy. And I said, I know. So yeah, it does put a burden on you to actively avoid it. But I think that burden is offset by the medical cost and the amount of time and money and investment that you put into diets and exercising that don't work unless you're actually eating the right foods.
Well, and I think that's a solid point, right? I mean, I'm not a big fan of the organic pricing, in all fairness.
Yeah.
But to what you just said, it's definitely got to be a mind shift change, right?
Yeah.
Are you going to spend the $2 extra for an apple? What, I'm making the number up. Or are you going to spend $30 for your next doctor's appointment and your next peel or your next whatever, right? I mean, that all comes out.
Pills that you're taking, right?
Right. Well, like for me, I take supplements to help offset some of the fatigue I feel, or some of the the blahs, or as I was telling you earlier, fighting a cold, and I'm just getting too many. I mean, we're all getting older, and I understand our body gets weaker, but I'm getting sick too often, and I know it's diet related. So
yeah, I take vitamins to help supplement all of that. But there's what's kind of interesting too is there's on Facebook there's some groups that are like some seed oil groups, and I've talked to some of them, and I've posted some things in there. And I had one lady say this, and again, not giving you doctor's advice or anything else like that, but she's like, I've committed to living a seed oil free life over the last year, and I've been able to get off of a thyroid medicine that I had been on for 35 years.
yeah,
And you just don't hear stuff like that. You just don't hear somebody magically after 35 years getting off of prescription medicine unless you're actively changing your ways. And that's just one of the things that we talk about in this 2 hour long course.
That's a good segue. Let's lean on without getting into details and teaching your whole class right here in 30 minutes. What are some of the other things? Because as an entrepreneur, there is definitely more than just personal health that we got to deal with, right? We've got body, mind, soul, right?
Yeah. So the full title of the course is Entrepreneurial Mind, Body, and Health. And so what I'm in the process of creating is a 2-hour session for the mind, a 2-hour session for the body, and a 2-hour session for the health. And so what we're talking about here is the first one, which is health. I've got some solid individuals that I know, and they have practiced the holistic medicine, and they talk about more of the mind aspects and more of the body aspects. And so we're going to be putting some things together. One of those, I referenced her earlier. She was a pharmacist for 30 years. And then she finally woke up one day, and she says this when she does her presentations. She goes, I just got tired of lying to everybody, telling them to take this shot, to take this type of medicine, and then going home and doing the exact opposite. And I started to basically just tell people the truth. And so she goes, I quit as a pharmacist. I quit pushing the pills and the shots and everything else, and actually started giving them what they actually needed to improve their health and to improve their life. And so that's where this class comes from, because as an entrepreneur, I saw this very early on. We run ourselves ragged. We are the train that is off the rails, right? Because we're trying to keep the business going. We're trying to be the breadwinner for the family. We're trying to be the accountant. We're trying to be the marketing person. We're trying to be the president. We're trying to be the treasurer. We're trying to do everything. And the last thing we take care of is ourselves. And most of us don't even put effort into that. And that's the worst thing that we could do. And so that's what this full 2-hour long course is on the health side, is just really creating awareness of all the things that we can do very easily. Again, I'm not telling you got to start a diet or you got to go do this, you got to go do that. It's just little life changes that you can do very simply to improve your health. And seed oils is one of them, but some of the other topics we do that.
So, and I want to make sure we double down on what I think I heard you just say. Is some of this is from you and your own research, and you're not a doctor, but you can read. You can research.
Don't take it as the gospel. Yeah.
But you've also taken other professional industry experts that have mastered the other topics that you're hitting on this. So it's not just your voice. Well, it's your voice, but it's not just your knowledge that you're bringing in experts on this topic because of obviously what you have understood the importance of. And
everything that I share in the class, I actually have QR codes on a lot of the pages that go back to the documentation. Right. So I'm a former history teacher. We do the deep dive. We do the research. I geek out on the research aspect, right? Finding the truth and finding what has been done to us as a society over the last 50 to 60 years. And I want to teach a class where it's like the 12 things that occurred in World War II that are still affecting us today. Right. Because the seed oils is one of those, but fluoride is another one,
I'm telling you, I would attend that class. I'm a big philosopher and believer in if you don't learn from the past, you're doomed to repeat it or live it.
Exactly.
Quite literally.
Exactly. And there's a lot of things that have just kind of fallen to the wayside because of time that we have become a society. We both teach tech. We know this. We have become a society of headlines. We don't really read the articles anymore. We're ADD because of all of our technology. So we just gloss at a headline and then we react without reading it first. And I think almost every week there's some story on social media or in the news where somebody's like just freaking out, both sides of this topic, whatever it is, or just freaking out. And I'm like, question, did anybody ever just read the article to understand what actually occurred or listen to the full recording of something before the reaction? And honestly, the answer is many people do that.
Well, I mean, they call it headline news for a reason, right?
Exactly.
And no one reads. And I would like to say I'm the exception to the rule.
That's good.
I try. I force myself, but it's not easy. And sometimes we'll get clickbaited. We all do it. That's why it's called clickbait.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I totally get that. So let me ask you this. We're getting towards that point in time here, Michael, and I want to respect your time. How does anybody, because you're in Texas, I'm in Illinois, Is this an in-person only class? Are you doing this Zoom style? How do people find more about this particular class, the availability, the resources, stuff like that?
So they can contact me at michaeltritthart.com. And then on my website, which is michaeltritthart.com/events, they're going to be able to see all the classes that I teach. So there's tons of topics that I teach in addition to this that are going to help business owners to build and grow their business. And this session can be taught in person. They can join via Zoom. So if they're looking to host a session, with their association, with their brokerage, with their chamber, these are all different locations that I've trained at all over North America. Happy to come to Illinois, happy to come to any part of Texas or anywhere else to provide this type of training. But we can also do it Zoom based as well. Many times though, when I am in person, we do what we call a hybrid session, where I'm going to be in Joplin, Missouri on June 5th doing some sessions, and we got some Zoom opportunities for people to join us on that one as well too. So there's a multitude of ways that we can get the training to you.
Awesome. Well, Michael, I always do appreciate your time. You are always a wealth of knowledge. Usually it's our tech side that we geek out on. It's fun to actually take a little more personal touch to this conversation. As always, as I do with any of my vlogs or podcasts, it's your time. So if you have any extra shout outs, any extra things you want someone to know, the floor is yours, sir.
Okay. No. Well, first off, thank you, Justin, for allowing me to come back in. I always enjoy our conversations. I enjoy being on this podcast. And everyone, my biggest thing is whatever you have discovered, whether it's from a tech training that Justin has done or I've done or entrepreneurial class, is take action, right? And I think the first action in these topics that we're talking about today is don't trust me. Don't trust your medical professionals. Go do your own research, right? Start with that YouTube video that Justin's going to share with you. Just watch that. And that's going to be an eye opener for you. And then that's going to be like, well, wait a minute, I can make a very small change and see a maximum improvement in my health in a very short amount of time. But don't just take it for granted. Do your own research and then take that action step. And if you want to join us for any of the other sessions, by all means, you can contact me at michaeltritthart.com and I'll share those details with you.
Yep. I thank you, Michael, for that. Yes, I just want to double down on it. Go to michaeltritthart.com. He teaches all the time. He teaches all over the place, various styles, strands. I think Michael is one of the best technology instructors I know, and I know a lot of them. So it's not a small kudos. That's a very large kudo. Thank you, Michael, for being here, and we'll chat soon, everyone.
All right. Thanks.